Tucked along the shimmering shores of Lake Como stands Villa Oleandra, a centuries-old Italian masterpiece and the beloved retreat of George Clooney. More than just a home, it's a sanctuary of elegance where Hollywood meets timeless European charm. Inside, the Clooney family has crafted a world of understated luxury, breathtaking design, and intimate moments far from the spotlight. George Clooney may have become a household name with a winning smile and silver screen charisma. But his story isn't just a Hollywood tale, it's a masterclass in reinvention, risk-taking, and refined taste, both in business and in bourbon-smooth tequila. Yes, he's one of Hollywood's highest-paid actors, regularly pulling in $20 million per film before even counting royalties and residuals. Yes, he's one of just two individuals in history, Walt Disney being the other, to earn Academy Award nominations in 6 different categories. But the real financial plot twist in Clooney's story? It came in the form of a bottle. Back in 2013, George teamed up with nightlife entrepreneur Rande Gerber. You might also know him as Cindy Crawford's husband and real estate mogul Michael Meldman, to create what would eventually become Casamigos tequila. It didn't start as a business, it was a passion project. Just a smooth, small-batch tequila made for themselves and close friends. Just 4 years later, in a move that made Wall Street and Hollywood raise their collective eyebrows, the trio sold Casamigos to global alcohol giant Diageo for a jaw-dropping $1 billion. That billion-dollar deal included $700 million upfront and the potential for $300 million more, depending on performance. For Clooney, that initial payout meant around $230 million before taxes, or approximately $150 million afterward. Not bad for a side hustle born out of late nights and good taste. Of course, the tequila triumph is just one facet of a remarkably diverse career. Clooney first stepped into the limelight as Dr. Doug Ross on the 90s medical drama ER, quickly becoming the television crush of a generation. From there, he pivoted to film, proving he wasn't just another pretty face. Roles in From Dusk Till Dawn, Out of Sight, and Three Kings showcased his range, while Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? And The Perfect Storm earned him critical acclaim and commercial success. His Oscar-winning performance in Syriana and a nomination for Michael Clayton further cemented his reputation as an actor who could tackle complicated roles with depth and intensity. Meanwhile, his production company, Smokehouse Pictures, allowed him to take creative control and champion stories with intelligence and heart. So while the headlines may celebrate Clooney's $500 million net worth, the real story isn't about the money. It's about the journey. From heartthrob to heavyweight, from Dr. Scrubs to billion-dollar boardrooms, from tequila tastings to global activism. Born George Timothy Clooney on May 6, 1961, in Lexington, Kentucky, he grew up with storytelling in his blood. His father, Nick Clooney, was a well-known anchorman and TV host, while his mother, Nina Bruce, had once been a beauty queen and served on the city council. The Catholic faith framed his early years, though Clooney would later describe himself as more agnostic than devout. His childhood zigzagged across states, from Fort Mitchell, Kentucky to Mason, Ohio, before his family returned to Kentucky once again. Life wasn't always smooth. In 7th grade, Clooney was hit with Bell's palsy, a condition that paralyzed half his face temporarily. It eventually faded, but the teasing he endured left an impression that would fuel the resilience seen in his later career. A die-hard sports enthusiast, young George was all about basketball and baseball, even trying out for the Cincinnati Reds. He didn't make the team, but that rejection nudged him toward a different spotlight. He studied broadcast journalism at Northern Kentucky University, but left before graduating, because Hollywood had other plans. When Clooney first landed in Los Angeles, he wasn't living the dream. He was literally living in his car. To be fair, the car was parked outside his aunt's Beverly Hills mansion. his aunt being none other than the legendary singer Rosemary Clooney. It wasn't long before connections and persistence paid off. Bit parts on shows like The Facts of Life, Roseanne, and The Golden Girls gave him a toehold. But his big break came in 1984 with a role on a sitcom confusingly named ER. A decade later, art would echo life when he exploded into mainstream stardom as the brooding, charming Dr. Doug Ross on NBC's ER. Between 1994 and 2009, Clooney appeared in 109 episodes of ER, collecting 2 Primetime Emmy nominations and 3 Golden Globe nods. Even as he saved lives on TV, he was making moves in film, starring in hits like From Dusk Till Dawn, One Fine Day, and Out of Sight. He even put on the batsuit for 1997's Batman and Robin, a film he later joked about with delightful self-deprecation. When Clooney finally walked away from ER in 1999, he didn't slow down, he sped up. He headlined The Perfect Storm and Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? In 2000, and then struck gold with Ocean's 11 in 2001, a heist film that sparked a beloved trilogy. By 2005, Clooney had entered rarefied Hollywood air. That year, he won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor in Syriana, and was nominated for writing and directing Good Night and Good Luck, making him the first person in Oscar history to be nominated for both directing one film and acting in another, simultaneously. The next decade was a showcase of Clooney's versatility. He teamed up with Ewan McGregor in the quirky The Men Who Stare at Goats, voiced the titular Vulpine in Fantastic Mr. Fox, and played a corporate downsizer in Up in the Air, a role that earned him more Oscar buzz. His work in The Descendants, The Ides of March, and the political thriller Argo continued to earn critical acclaim, as did his role opposite Sandra Bullock in the visually stunning Gravity. In 2016, he channeled classic Hollywood in Hail's Caesar, and 2 years later, the American Film Institute honored him with its Life Achievement Award. After a brief 4-year retreat from acting, Clooney returned in 2019 with The Midnight Sky, a reflective science fiction drama he also directed. He followed that by directing The Tender Bar for Amazon Prime, starring Ben Affleck. Then came 2 star-powered reunions, a 2021 thriller with longtime friend Brad Pitt, and a 2022 romantic comedy Ticket to Paradise with Julia Roberts. In a full-circle moment, Clooney's career reminded everyone that he could still lead, charm, and captivate, whether in a spacesuit, a tuxedo, or swim trunks on a Mediterranean beach. What makes Clooney's journey remarkable isn't just the awards or the blockbuster hits. It's how he's navigated the industry with a combination of old-school class and modern savvy. He's the rare star who's just as compelling behind the camera as he is in front of it, and even more intriguing when he's not acting at all. Whether living in his car or clinking billion-dollar tequila glasses, George Clooney has always known how to make a scene unforgettable. George and Amal Clooney are known for living a truly international lifestyle, with luxurious properties spread across the globe. But none is more iconic, or more closely tied to George's personal mythology, than Villa Oleandra on Italy's Lake Como. Acquired in 2002 for $30 million, Villa Oleandra has become almost as famous as the actor himself, symbolizing not only his love of classic beauty and privacy, but also his penchant for understated European elegance. Nestled in the tiny village of Laglio, a town of fewer than 1,000 residents, the villa sits directly on the glimmering shores of Lake Como and has become a real-life retreat for celebrities, politicians, and close friends of the Clooneys. Originally built in the 18th century, the villa has been painstakingly preserved and tastefully modernized. It spans several stories and features 15 bedrooms, offering enough space for George and Amal to host guests in style, which they often do. The interior is a masterclass in refined Italian design, with ornately carved ceilings, spacious and elegant bathrooms, and a cozy yet grand ambiance created by centuries-old architecture paired with luxurious modern touches. One of the villa's most charming features is its dedicated pizza room, outfitted with a traditional wood-fired oven, which adds a casual, convivial element to the otherwise stately property. The estate also includes a private swimming pool tucked into the lush landscaping, a full-size tennis court, and a gym, ensuring that guests can relax or stay active while enjoying the magnificent surroundings. The gardens are impeccably maintained, offering winding paths and shaded sitting areas that look out over the lake, where the water glistens against the foothills of the Italian Alps. The home is protected from the elements by a cleverly constructed wall that keeps the lake's waters at bay without obstructing the view, making the setting both secure and awe-inspiring. Beyond its aesthetics, Villa Oleandra has served as a backdrop to some of the most memorable moments in George's personal life and in the social lives of Hollywood's elite. It's where he entertained fellow actors and directors, where friendships deepened, and where history was made in quiet, elegant ways. Viola Davis, George's co-star in Syriana and Solaris, spent her honeymoon there. In 2010, John Krasinski and Emily Blunt were married on the grounds, an intimate and glamorous affair that cemented the villa's status as a Hollywood haven. For Clooney, the house has long been a place to retreat from the noise, to entertain, to reflect, and to recharge. The villa has also attracted widespread public fascination, often prompting curious tourists to stop outside the gates in hopes of catching a glimpse. In fact, local officials were compelled to implement a unique rule, banning groups larger than 3 people from congregating outside the property for selfies or sightseeing. Those caught loitering can be fined, a testament to the level of attention the home has garnered and the desire to preserve the peace and privacy of the village. Despite the Clooney's deep connection to the villa, reports emerged in September 2023 that they were considering selling Villa Oleandra, with a rumored asking price of around $100 million. Whether or not a sale will happen remains to be seen, but the speculation alone stirred nostalgia and interest across both the celebrity world and among longtime fans of the property's romantic, almost cinematic aura. George and Amal Clooney's real estate portfolio is as impressive as their public personas. Elegant, far-reaching, and deeply rooted in both style and substance. With properties spanning the globe, their combined holdings are estimated to be worth at least $100 million, and each home tells a part of their story. Among the earliest and most personal of these properties is George's longtime residence in Studio City, California, a mansion that marked a pivotal moment in his rise to fame. In 1992, at the peak of his breakout success on ER, George purchased a charming 6-bedroom estate in the hills of Studio City for $2.2 million. The property had its own piece of celebrity lineage. It was previously owned by music legend Stevie Nicks. Set on a large private lot with lush landscaping and tucked away from the street, the home was a quiet, leafy retreat in the heart of Los Angeles. While not as ostentatious as other Hollywood homes, it possessed a low-key glamour, with spacious interiors and an unmistakable warmth that mirrored Clooney's grounded reputation. Inside, the house blended classic California charm with understated luxury. Vaulted ceilings, exposed wood beams, and an open, airy layout gave the home a timeless appeal. Large windows looked out over the city and canyon below, and the living spaces flowed seamlessly into one another, perfect for relaxed entertaining or low-key evenings with friends. The kitchen was both functional and welcoming, while the bedrooms offered privacy and comfort, each one carefully appointed with its own view or balcony. The outdoor space was a key part of the home's allure. The backyard featured a generous pool surrounded by mature trees and hedges, offering seclusion and tranquility. Multiple patios and terraces allowed for sun-soaked lounging or shaded dinners al fresco, all with panoramic views of the San Fernando Valley. Over the years, the home became more than just a residence. It was a touchstone in Clooney's life, a place of stability during the years when his career skyrocketed. Though George eventually moved on to other properties and an increasingly international lifestyle, he held on to the Studio City home for more than 3 decades, a clear sign of his emotional connection to it. But in September 2024, he sold the estate to NFL star Christian McCaffrey and his wife, model and influencer Olivia Culpo, for $14.5 million. The sale marked the end of an era, closing a long chapter in George's life while adding a new layer to the home's celebrity legacy. George Clooney has never been just another Hollywood heartthrob. He's always played the game on his own terms, even when the stakes are sky high and the paychecks higher. Since 2013, Clooney has been the effortlessly smooth face of Nespresso, bringing his signature charm to television screens around the world while sipping espresso with just the right amount of gravitas. That partnership has brewed more than just coffee. It's poured him a cool $40 million over the years. But Clooney doesn't just spend his earnings on Italian suits and lakefront villas. He puts his money where his conscience is. In a move that feels more like a James Bond plot than real life, Clooney funds a spy satellite. Not for movies, for actual surveillance. The satellite has been orbiting Sudan for years, tracking movements and military operations tied to the regime of former Sudanese dictator Omar al-Bashir, a man accused of atrocities and human rights violations so horrific they sparked international outrage. Clooney's satellite, yes, his satellite, monitored troop movements and potential flashpoints to shine a literal light on some of the darkest corners of the world. Bashir was ultimately ousted in 2019 by a military coup and later imprisoned, but Clooney's high-tech humanitarian work is far from over. It's activism at 500 miles above the earth, and it's vintage George, dramatic, effective, and undeniably cool. Of course, not every big opportunity turns Clooney's head. In a 2021 interview, he revealed a jaw-dropping behind-the-scenes moment when he turned down $35 million for just one day's work. One day. The offer came from an airline owned by a U.S. ally with a rather murky human rights record. Before jumping in, Clooney ran it by his wife, Amal, a renowned human rights attorney. And together, they decided the deal just didn't sit right. And so he walked away from $35 million without flinching. For context, it was a 6-hour shoot, which would have paid out at nearly $6 million per hour. George Clooney has always had a flair for the dramatic, on screen and off. But his passion for global causes gives his real-life story the kind of substance even Hollywood can't script. Over the years, Clooney has been far more than a leading man in the movies. He's been a leading voice in the fight for human rights and international aid. The conflict in Darfur wasn't just a news headline for him, it was a call to action. He's poured time, energy, and star power into drawing attention to atrocities, there, helping to amplify the cries of a region the world too often tries to ignore. And when disaster struck in Haiti in 2010, Clooney didn't just tweet a hashtag or attend a gala. He rolled up his sleeves and helped raise real money for real relief. His work with Not On Our Watch, a humanitarian organization co-founded with other actors, shows a man who understands that spotlight can illuminate more than just red carpets. It can shine on the darkest corners of the world. In 2020, as Lebanon's capital reeled from the catastrophic Beirut explosion, George and Amal Clooney didn't hesitate. They donated $100,000 to local charities including the Lebanese Red Cross, Impact Lebanon, and Baitna Beitak, choosing to uplift from the ground up, with targeted grassroots aid. And while his activism roars, his personal life tells its own compelling story. George was once married to actress Talia Balsam in the late 80s, but that chapter closed in 1993. What followed was something of a bachelor saga, with an unconventional co-star, his pet pig, Max, who lived with him for 18 years until passing away in 2006. For a while, it seemed Clooney might remain the charmingly unattached icon forever. Then Amal Alamuddin entered the picture, a brilliant British-Lebanese human rights lawyer With an international reputation and a mind as formidable as Clooney's charisma, they got engaged on April 28, 2014, a fact confirmed not by Hollywood gossip columns, but by her law firm. Their wedding was a stylish yet sincere affair in Venice on September 27th of that same year, with the ceremony officiated by Clooney's friend Walter Veltroni, the former mayor of Rome. It wasn't just a union of glamour and intelligence, it was a meeting of two people committed to making a difference in the world. Their family grew in 2017, when twins Ella and Alexander were born, and in true Clooney fashion, even that came with a twist. By 2020, George proudly shared that his kids spoke fluent Italian, despite neither he nor Amal speaking the language. Somehow, in the Clooney household, elegance, wit, and a global outlook are not taught. They're absorbed, like languages, almost effortlessly. In every chapter, whether it's rallying support for war-torn countries, turning down massive paychecks for the sake of ethics, or raising bilingual twins with a world-changing partner, George Clooney proves that charisma may get you in the door, but character is what keeps the world watching.